There is something strange about economic crises. They're supposed to destroy wealth. They're supposed to bring down markets. They're supposed to hurt everyone. And yet if you look closely at many crises throughout history, some people become richer than ever, not despite the collapse, but because of it. This is the story of the crisis that made the rich richer. Welcome to ECON NOIR. Every economic collapse begins the same way. Confidence disappears. Markets panic. Prices fall. Assets that once seemed valuable suddenly become toxic. Homes are sold in desperation. Businesses close overnight. Investments once considered safe lose their value in days. For ordinary people, a crisis is a moment of survival. Savings must stretch further. Jobs become uncertain. Risk becomes dangerous. But for those with one critical advantage, a crisis looks very different. Liquidity. Cash. Access to capital when everyone else is running out of it. When fear spreads across an economy, prices begin to collapse. Stocks fall. Property values drop. Entire industries lose half their value in months. To the public, this feels like destruction. To investors with capital, it looks like a discount. Assets that once required decades to accumulate suddenly become available for a fraction of their former price. Factories change hands. Real estate portfolios are quietly assembled. Companies desperate for survival accept investors they would have rejected months earlier. Ownership shifts quietly during crises, and the public rarely notices. In dark economics, this is not always exploitation. It is timing. Those with resources during collapse gain access to opportunities that simply do not exist during stability. But there is another layer to this pattern. During crises, governments intervene, interest rates fall, liquidity floods, financial markets, emergency policies are introduced to stabilize the system. These interventions are meant to save the economy. Often they do. But the first places where new money arrives are not always the places where the crisis began. Financial markets recover faster than wages. Asset prices rise before employment does. Stock portfolios rebuild while ordinary households are still repairing their finances. The recovery begins at the top. Years later, statistics begin to tell a confusing story. The economy recovered. Markets reached record highs. Wealth expanded. But the distribution of that wealth changed. Those who owned assets during the recovery gained enormous value, while those who lost assets during the crisis rarely regained them. Homes sold during panic were never repurchased. Businesses lost during collapse were never rebuilt. The crisis ends, but the ownership structure of the economy has changed. Not through conspiracy, not through a single decision, but through the quiet mathematics of fear, liquidity, and opportunity. This is one of the least discussed patterns in modern economics. Crises destroy wealth, but they also redistribute it. And the direction of that redistribution is rarely random. Those who must sell during fear lose control of their assets. Those who can buy during fear gain them. Over time, each crisis leaves behind a new economic landscape. Different owners, different concentrations of wealth, different levels of inequality. To the public, it looks like recovery. To historians, it looks like a cycle. But to those watching closely, it reveals something deeper. Economic crises are not just moments of collapse. They are moments of transfer. You've been watching ECON NOIR? And remember, in economics, the greatest fortunes are often built not during prosperity, but during panic.